Hello and welcome to my bedroom for another video where I sit down and I ramble too much. Hope you enjoy. For some reason, I always think, oh my god, these videos must be so annoying to watch. And then most of the time people are like, these are my favorite videos. And I'm like, well, great. They're truly the easiest ones I could possibly make. I just sit down and talk, and Lord knows I never like to shut up. So it's pretty easy for me to just sit down and talk for 40 minutes, as the time codes on all of my video lengths are evidence. Thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. You can go to squarespace.com/mollyberg for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain name. So thank you for being here and grab a cup of tea, a bowl of popcorn, whatever you fancy. Let's chat. I've got a bottle of sparkling water. And for those who can't see, the water isn't sparkling, the bottle is. Oh my god. It's mesmerizing. I don't know if it's probably not translating as fabulous as it truly is, but it's fabulous and it makes drinking water fun. So you see the title. I want to talk about my journey bonding with my current guide dog, Elton John. It's always funny when I call him my new guide dog because I'm like, Ben was my new guide dog a year ago. This is all so ridiculous. Whenever I see comments on TikTok, because the TikTok folks, they don't really know. The YouTube peeps, you know my life. The TikTok people, they see snippets. So if they're not over here, they miss a lot. So I'll see comments every now and then, they're like, didn't she just get a new guide dog? And I'm like, yeah, I did. Keep up. So I feel like I should be calling him my newest guide dog. Yeah, I want to talk about the journey bonding with Elton John because it's different than my journey bonding with my other dogs. And you guys know, I keep it real on here. I don't sugarcoat. I am honest because I really think the only way to bridge gaps in society is to have really hard, sometimes awkward, honest conversations. And that's how we as society come together and we're like, oh, hey, we're not as different as we think we are. And I know that this might not be a relatable conversation for everybody, but I don't think you have to relate to it to be willing to be open to hearing and understanding other people and the experiences of other humans and what they go through. And to understand hardship. That's one thing we certainly all understand is hardship and struggle and challenge and overcoming it. And this is yet another one of those stories, which is a theme that is all too familiar in my life, especially in 2022, which you would know if you saw that gem of a video right there. I know I have so many service dog users that watch my channel, which I love so much. I think it's so awesome that we have such a strong service doggy community on here. And I know in particular, a lot of people come to my channel when they're about to get their first guide dog or service dog, whether it's owner training, private training, facility training. So many people come to me when they're embarking on their service dog journey for the first time. And I know that there are so many content creators with service dogs, especially on TikTok, but on YouTube and Instagram and everywhere else as well. And you see these beautiful bonds, these beautiful relationships that are so established, and it's really easy to go into getting either your first service dog or a new service dog with that expectation because that's what you see. And this wasn't that picture perfect fairy tale experience. Nobody dreams of their experience getting their new service dog being the way mine was. And so I want to talk about it because I know that a lot of people don't bond with their new dog right away. Some do, many do, and that's great and it's beautiful, and I've had that experience. But not every experience is going to be like that, and I don't think that you should feel bad about yourself or guilty or doubt yourself if you don't bond with your dog right away, if you don't fall in love with them overnight, if it isn't a perfect, smooth transition, because that's okay. Just because things aren't going right away, just because you're not falling in love with this dog instantly and they're not changing your life overnight, doesn't mean it's not gonna come. Doesn't mean you won't find that feeling. Doesn't mean you won't bond, and doesn't mean you're not meant to be a team. It doesn't mean you're not a good service dog handler. So this is for all of those people. But before I jump into it, I do want to thank the sponsor of today's video, which is a longtime partner of this channel, and I so appreciate them, Squarespace. Squarespace is your one-stop shop for building a beautiful online presence for your business. My website, mollybergofficial.com, is a Squarespace website. They have templates that you can work off of, and there's a ton of them. It's so easy to design a website, even if you don't know what you're doing, which is great. Because getting somebody to do it for you, girl, it can be so expensive. And when you're starting a business or trying to refresh a brand, that's expensive enough as it is. And so being able to have a tool like Squarespace to build your business and build your website for yourself is fantastic. They have marketing tools, analytics. You can have an online shop to sell physical products or things like classes. You can have a blog. You can connect your website to your social media to automatically post for you. Honestly, there's less that you can't do than you can. So I'm going to list a whole bunch of features on the screen and in the description box down below of things that you can do on your Squarespace website. But as I always say, don't forget to add alt text to any photos you put on your website, use high color contrast, all the things, help the blind and visually impaired folks out who are using your website and your business. And you can go to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to purchase your first website or domain name, you can go to squarespace.com/mollyberg to get 10% off. Now let's talk about bonding. So as probably everybody watching this video already knows, I got a new guide dog, had him for 8 months. And unfortunately, unexpectedly, his career came to an end. And I had a decision to make. Did I want to go and get a new dog right away? Or did I want to wait, most likely many months, if not a year, to go get a new dog? I decided to go right away. And I told myself, like, I can always leave without the dog. I can always drop out and leave. There was a lot of open space in the class, so it wasn't like I was taking the spot of somebody else who could have had it. Like, there was plenty of empty space. My class was only 3 of us. And so I was like, I can take the spot and I can always drop out, but I want to do this. So I did, and it was really, really, really hard. And what I'll say is this is my 4th guide dog. Been a guide dog user for almost 16 years now, which is nuts. And what I've come to realize is the experiences where I planned it were the easiest to bond with the dog. So that was when I got Gypsy and when I got Ben. Because when I got Gypsy, it was my first guide dog, so obviously it was planned. Like, I was super excited. I couldn't wait to get this dog. And I had months of anticipation, months of planning and expectation, years of wanting this. And so bonding was pretty easy. When I got Gallop, I had just lost my guide dog Gypsy unexpectedly to cancer 2.5 months prior. I was devastated. I was struggling with my mental health because of that and for many other reasons in my life. And so bonding with Gallop was much slower than getting Ben. I retired Gallop, planned it all out. It was meticulous. I had months and months and months leading up to getting Ben to anticipate going to training, knowing my class dates, getting excited. And so bonding with him was pretty easy. And then I lost him unexpectedly. And bonding with Elton was really hard. And so what I'll say is, if you can plan it, because it makes it easier. So if you have the opportunity to really think through your guide dog or service dog's retirement and what's next, do that, because it makes it a lot easier. Granted, everybody's going to be different. Everybody has different emotional capacity, different needs. So it's going to be different for everybody. But in my experience, as much time as you have to plan it, it makes it easier because the anticipation and the excitement of that new dog that you get to build up towards makes it so much easier. I also want to say I can only speak from a facility trained dog perspective because that's my experience. Obviously, I'm sure it's going to be different when you owner train or private train and you actually pick the dog for yourself as a puppy and you have years of working with it before it becomes your service dog. Oh, my leg is falling asleep and it's extremely painful. Oh, okay. I went, and thankfully at my school, you do get to have some hand in picking the dog. I want to say I honestly think I only got through this experience because the staff at Mira were so empathetic to my situation, so supportive, really gave me what I needed. They were really let me take the reins, and they were just so there for me. We had so many conversations and they really helped me through it. And also the 2 girls that I was in training with, Cinnabar and Elishay, having them there really helped me. And I hope I was able to help them in their journey and their experience. But without the amazing, empathetic, supportive staff and the girls that I was there with, I don't know that I would have gotten through it. But I worked 7 different dogs and had a couple of days to kind of think through and experience and decide what I wanted. And, with the trainer's help, I picked Elton, and they certainly felt like he was their number 1 choice for me. I'm glad I made that decision. But just because he is the one I picked. And just because I had options, doesn't mean that I like loved him right away. I didn't. I liked him. I thought he was cute. He was fluffy. I've always wanted a fluffy dog. That was great. He was very jovial. I genuinely feel like he is the reincarnation of Gypsy. Truly, I believe he is Gypsy reincarnated. He is so joyful all the time. You know, he made me laugh. He made me smile. And I needed that. And it endeared me to him. But I'm not going to be like, oh, I loved him. I didn't. I liked him the way I would like a friend's dog. But he didn't feel like my dog. He felt like a stranger that I was sleeping with. And it's kind of like losing the love of your life and starting to date straight away. Like you're putting this Band-Aid on a gaping wound. But it's hard. It's hard to fall in love in the midst of healing. You can't expect that you're going to fall in love when you're in pain. And for many months, I was numb, I was in shock, I was in denial, I was grieving. And when you're grieving, your heart isn't exactly open to like bonding with this new creature. Elton was extraordinarily patient with me. I really feel like he understood. He knew. He seemed to intuitively understand. He was like, it's cool, Mom. I'm here for you. And I appreciate that. And I feel like Gallup was very much the same way when I was struggling to bond with him while grieving Gypsy. Dogs are just such incredible creatures that are just, I don't know, they're like all-knowing. They seem to give you what you need. And I certainly appreciate that he understood that. And it's funny, like I started calling him Bestie. That became like his nickname. And it was like I was trying to play a mental trick on myself. I was like, well, if I call him my bestie, if I call him my best friend, he will become my best friend. I will believe it. But I had just lost my best friend. I had lost my bestie. And so, yeah, it was this weird kind of area where I was going through the motions, but I wasn't like mentally or emotionally really in it. It was hard. And I can remember leaving training, going home, and then my trainer did the follow-up, and we went to the mall. And of course, this is where I would have an awakening, a breakthrough. The mall, where all good things happen in my life. And that was like the first day where I was like, okay, I could see him being my dog for the next 8 years. I could see that this could work. And I think it was because we were in an environment that I went to so many times with Gallup, that I'd gone to a handful of times with Ben, and that I knew like the back of my hand, but he didn't. And he did a flawless job, and I couldn't fault him. I trusted him, and I felt safe and comfortable with him. And I felt like he could really do it. He could do the job. That was the first time that I was like, okay, it was like the beginning of something. I was like, all right, I think we could really start to fall in love here. But it was many more months. That was at the, I think, beginning of August. And then at the end of August, I was in Toronto. I was struggling with my own health. I had Epstein-Barr virus, but didn't know it, and was just exhausted, as you are with EBV. And when you get a new dog, like the first year, I've said it a million times, the first year is really hard. You are learning each other. You're the trainer, like you're training them to your life. They start to come out of their shell, like their personality begins to change and emerge. And that first year is really, really hard. And he had a dog distraction or something for the first time ever. And I was really frustrated because I was exhausted and I was dealing with this dog distraction with him and I was irritated. And I remember just going into my bedroom, like the bedroom that I was staying in, and I was just sobbing. My dad came in. And he was like, what's wrong? And I was like, I shouldn't have gotten a dog. I wish I hadn't gotten a dog. Like, I regret this. I never want to get a guide dog again. It's not worth it. And I don't think I've ever uttered those words in my damn life. Like, I've wanted a guide dog since I was 8 years old. Got my first guide dog at 13. I personally hate using a cane. Like, it's just not my mobility aid. It's just not for me. I'm good at it, but I don't like it. And I was just so angry that this had happened to me. And he was like, I was like, why did this happen to me? This isn't fair. And he was like, it's not fair. And it shouldn't have happened, but it did. And it sucks. This sucks. And it's not going to feel like this forever. And you will love him. And he is an amazing guide dog. And it's a rough day. And it's a rough patch. I'm sorry that this happened, but it's going to get better. I think so often, I'm so glad he did that for me, because I think so often we want to like put a band-aid on. We want to just be like, it's gonna be okay, it's fine. We don't want to admit to people when it sucks, even though we can tell it sucks. Like we're well aware that their situation sucks, but we don't want to just say to them, you're right, it sucks. We want to make it better, but it's okay to not make it better. It's okay to be like, it sucks. And sometimes having your sucky emotions validated and being told you're right, we all can see that this sucks for you, is actually the best thing you can do. It's the best feeling, is other people just admitting like, yeah, this ain't great and it sucks that you're going through this. I cried it out and I had those emotions, was like, he's right, it's not gonna feel like this forever. And I don't really feel that way. I do want a guide dog, and I know that I would feel worse if I hadn't gotten him than I do having gotten him. And I pushed through, and I had many more good days than bad with him. And, you know, at times it was hard because it felt like everybody else was falling in love with him faster than I was. I can see externally he is so easy to love. Like I said, I could see that if he was my friend's dog, I would have fallen in love with him. But he wasn't my friend's dog, he was my dog, and he wasn't Ben. It was hard for me to see that so many people in my life, my friends, my family, all of you, were falling in love with him faster than I was. And it almost made me angry that people loved him so much. Because I was like, but what about Ben? Didn't you love Ben? Ben was so amazing. Obviously, people don't have the same bond that I have with my dogs. It has something special, he does. And again, externally, I could see that. But that isn't like my experience with him. It's just different. And so, you know, I kept pushing through and doing everything I could to bond with him, playing with him, snuggling with him, brushing him, grooming him, petting him, playing, you know, training with him. And I slowly started to love him. He was breaking into my heart like I knew he eventually would. You know, I loved him, but I still wasn't in love with him the way I was with every dog I've had in the past. But I knew that it would probably come. I'd say it was just like this past month where I've started to fall in love with him. So it took about 6 months. And Ben was like Ben was my favorite dog I've ever had. But I think what I've come to realize is I think every dog that I have when I have them is my favorite dog. Gypsy was my favorite dog when I had her. Then Gallop eventually became my favorite guide dog, even though I was like, but Gypsy, nobody will ever live up to Gypsy. And then Ben took over from Gallop and he became my favorite dog. And I think eventually Elton will become my favorite dog. And I think it's really easy for us to compare the relationship. We always try as service dog users to be like, it's like my child, it's like my best friend, it's like my partner in crime, it's like an extension of myself. We try to find these ways to express to non-service dog users the gravity of this bond and relationship. But it's none of those things. It isn't. The reality is there is nothing to compare it to. It is so special. It's so unique. There is no relationship or bond like it. And so we can use all of these vehicles to try to explain what it's like, but it isn't like any of those relationships. It's its own thing on its own playing field. It's not like picking a favorite child, because with a favorite child, you have all your children there in front of you. They're all your child at once. He is my only guide dog right now. Ben was my only guide dog at the time. I have retired guide dogs, but I don't have them as my guide dog, right? And so I think it's okay that each dog becomes my favorite dog. And I actually think for me personally, it's important for that to happen, because I never want to be less in love with my current guide dog because I'm so in love with my previous guide dog. Because I've had that feeling. I had that feeling trying to bond with Gallop, and I had that feeling trying to bond with Elton. And it sucks. It's an awful feeling. And I would never want that feeling to linger my entire working relationship with my new dog. And so I think it's important for me personally, and I'm not saying this is true for everybody, but for me personally, I think it's important for my current dog to become my favorite dog. By the way, I'm extremely sweaty. The stress sweats this year have been out of control. I've never experienced it in my damn life, but this year I sweat like nobody's business. So ignore that. Don't worry, I'll change after. But yeah, I think for me personally, it's important for like every one of my dogs to become my new favorite dog. But there's definitely been times in this journey that I have felt guilty and I have beat myself up. Like when everybody else was falling in love with him and telling me how great he was, but I didn't feel that. Like I could see that he was great, but I didn't feel it in my heart. I would beat myself up and I'd feel so bad about it, but you've got to give yourself time. And I'm really getting there. And I think the other element, and possibly the biggest element that I was struggling with, was this. I was jaded. I was so paranoid and so anxious that something was going to happen to him, because I could have never anticipated what happened with Ben. And it did. And so I was like, I've been so paranoid, and in times I still am paranoid that he's going to get sick. He's going to get a career-ending injury. He's going to die. He's going to choke. He's going to develop an issue. He is going to have a behavior that crops up that's irreversible. Like, something's going to happen. He's going to have to go back for retraining, and they're going to take him from me, or I'm not going to be a good mom to him. Like, just so many fears. And perhaps these thoughts are paranoid or unrealistic or whatever, but it's part of the healing from the trauma, is having those feelings. And so whether I should have those feelings or not, I had them, and I still do at times. And so it's hard to bond with a dog when you're just scared constantly of losing him again. Because why would you fall in love when you might get your heart ripped out all over again, right? Why would you let yourself get emotionally attached when you're scared of setting yourself up to fail again? And so that's been a really big emotional block for me. Just constantly feeling like, oh, don't get too close, because if you get too close, you're going to get hurt. So I've been trying to work through those feelings. And I think, to be honest, a big reason why I was finally able to start falling in love with him truly during December is because many other aspects of my life were healing, and many other aspects of my life were kind of falling into place. The condo was finally done. My Epstein-Barr virus I was recovering. Just other hardships in life were starting to resolve. And so it was feeling like, oh, okay, like I have space and capacity in my mind and heart to not just be constantly putting out fires, but to actually like focus on loving him. And I want to make it very clear, like, he's been very well taken care of. He has been showered with love and gifts and affection this entire time. But it was something deep in me that was struggling. I don't think he noticed. He's in his own world. He's in his own happy-go-lucky Elton John world. I think the other thing for me is that Ben was the type of dog, he had only eyes for me. He loved me so much. And when somebody, I can fall victim to love bombing, all right? Ben love bombed me. He loved me so much, and he didn't have eyes for anybody else. And when somebody is like, I love you so much, love me, love me, love me, how can you not love them? Whereas Elton is kind of like, yeah, I love you, but I love everyone. I love life, I love naps, I love snuggles, I love the park. Like, he's just like a happy guy. And so his love doesn't feel special. It didn't feel special to me. It didn't feel like, oh, I'm special to Elton, the way I felt special to Ben. So it was hard because I was like, oh, I mean, he doesn't really love me. He just loves everyone. Whereas with Ben, I was like, he loves me so much. It made me feel special. And so it was easier for me to love Ben because he made me feel like I was so lovable. Again, that's obviously my own deep-rooted emotional issue. But I'm getting there with Elton, and I'm happy to be getting there, and it feels good, and I really am falling deeply in love with Elton. I'm bonding with him in the way that I have to make this work. And, you know, I know there's people who judge me for the things that I've said in this video, but I know that there's also other people out there who needed to hear it. I think it's the same like when you get a new pet, right? Like your previous pet that you've had for 12 years passes away, and you get a puppy. The puppy's cute, and they're adorable, and they're this new fun toy. They're also a hell of a lot more work than your sleepy old dog was, because they're peeing in your house and they're chewing up your carpet, and you have no history. There's no history with this dog. It's just this new dog in your life, and you're not going to fall in love with it the way that your love was with this relationship that was with so much history. And that's okay. For some people it happens overnight, and for other people it takes time. For some experiences it happens overnight, and for some it takes time. And for me, this one took time, and that's okay. So don't beat yourself up if it takes time. Don't feel like something's wrong if it's not happening right away. And I'm really glad that I pushed through the hard times and I persevered because he is amazing and I love him so dearly. He's a wonderful guide dog and he's a wonderful companion and he is my bestie now. I guess that's really it. I don't know what else to say. I need to go change. I'm very sweaty. Thanks for watching. I hope, at least for some of you, this was helpful and relatable and made you feel less alone or less guilt in your situation. And it'll come. Give it time. They're hard not to love, these fluffy creatures. And until next time, you can click over here to watch this video about Elton John, or over here to watch a very light video, a nice little makeup haul from Sephora. Okay, see you next time. Bye.